have a lot of questions for you, mister. What happened to Cora?
She went home after we settled all differences.
Really?
Oh, yes, of course. Nothing more happened.
All right. Why is her lightsaber with you?
'Cause she wanted me to have a memento.
You can't be serious. Her fucking lightsaber?
Yeah, why the hell not?
You know, it's almost like you're lying to me.
Well, you won't be able to prove it.
I wish for one day you couldn't lie. Speaking of lying, today's review is the movie Liar, Liar, starring Jim Carrey. Released back in 1997 and at the peak of his career, the film is the second of 3 collaborations between Carrey and Shadyac. And don't get me wrong, Jim Carrey is a funny-ass man, and this movie just proves how a man of his talent deals with everyday life. But the biggest thing this movie has is the cliché workaholic father who never spends time with his kids. Yes, even poor old Jim was hit by this stupid old cliché. So let's start this piece of the 90s shit. But before we continue, I think I should treat myself to a candy. Oh. Honey?
Yes, dear?
Did you eat all my candy?
No! I dumped them down the sink because you were getting fat!
Excuse me?
Every time you walk, I hear the earth cry in pain and shake. Thunder thighs.
What?
You're fat!
You're lucky I have a review to do!
What the fuck? I can't lie!
Anyway, our movie begins with several kids at a school going over what jobs their parents do.
My dad is a truck driver. My mom's a teacher.
And your dad?
My dad, he's a liar.
A liar? Oh, I'm sure you don't mean a liar.
Well, he wears a suit and goes to court and talks to the judge.
Oh, I see. You mean he's a lawyer?
Liar, lawyer, same thing. And thus we meet this horrible child actor's father, Jim Carrey, or Fletcher Reed. Doesn't matter, because he has that famous neglectful father syndrome and workaholic syndrome.
Mr. Reed, do you have a moment?
I'm sorry, I'm very late. It's my day to be with my son.
A couple of reporters want to talk to you about your big win today.
Oh, yeah? How's my hair?
Fabulous. You look great.
What time is it?
I am sure your dad just got held up in court again.
Why even have a kid then, you fucking bastard? So obviously he's late to pick up his son, but that's okay, because he has this weird pain in his arm.
Me too. Except my arm has really been bothering me lately.
Oh no, Dad.
Oh, yeah. It's becoming a club!
Even after all these years, I still find that stupidly funny. We are then introduced to his ex-wife's current boyfriend.
Fletcher, pleasure to see you.
Hello, Carrie Elways. I see you ditched your green tights for a more casual look. Guess he wasn't as butch as the rest of them. What I find funny is that he is like a wimp or whatever, and is socially awkward, yet he's a much better father figure than Jim is. Either that or he's good in bed. Well, that's not quite it. Jim, how do you describe it?
You guys aren't, you know.
Perfect. So Jim takes his son Max real quick to pick up something before going to see wrestling when we— Oh God! Now I know that mental patient for Outlast went. Quick, Jim! Get out of there before we see—
Here's Mr. Reed.
Zit. 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 So Jim talks to his secretary, realizing he didn't buy a present for his son's birthday.
Damn it! I completely forgot.
Come on, you could have done that, fucking ass! When my first woman boner walks in, I mean Miranda, and asks Jim if he's not busy, and of course lets his son down and focuses on work.
We're not going, are we?
Bastard! Meanwhile, Carrie proposes to Jim's ex, and she sort of maybe says yes. It's not really confirmed if she ever really did. Just skip it. It's not as important as Jim giving his son a present he didn't buy and claiming he did. Oh, and don't forget the fact he lies to his son again, saying he will be at his party that night to play ball. Sorry, this just pisses me off. Don't worry, we'll get to the funny part soon enough. So Jim sees his new client. Hello, Jennifer Tilly. My second woman boner. And Jim sort of goes a bit mental to win her over by saying it's for women everywhere that she wins.
Wake up, sisters. There's no such thing as a weaker sex.
Miranda creams her panties and fucks Jim, promising partner. But uh-oh, Jim is going to be late to his son's saddest birthday party ever. Geez, this is a boner kill. I don't blame him for calling his ex saying he can't make it due to work. Gotta smash when you can, right? So his son Max decides to get even with his dad, and wishes his father couldn't lie for one day. Ironically, right after his father just had sex and was asked if it was good.
I've had better.
Speaking of which, hon,
Yes?
how's our sex life?
I've had better.
What? That's right, you better run, fucker! So after several life circumstances like big boobs,
Well, that's because you have big jugs. I mean, your boobs are huge. I mean, I want to squeeze them. Mama!
homelessness, and the beginning of his case, Jim quickly comes to the realization that he can't lie.
I can't lie!
Well, to confirm this, he has to ask if the pen is red.
The pen is blue. The pen is blue! The goddamn pen is blue!
Well, to be honest, I like to think at this point in the movie, we're now seeing a relatively sane man slowly lose his sanity. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised at the end we find out he's been in a loony bin the whole time. I must also mention Jim really goes all out and overacts his scenes, but it's not entirely bad. Honestly, how would one react if he couldn't lie at all? Jim by every day had to be exhausted due to any retakes he had to do. So we get a sad scene of his ex telling Jim she's leaving to Boston with Max, with Jim running away from Miranda.
Fletcher! Holy hell!
You can run, but you can't hide.
Neither can my ovaries. With Jim speeding through traffic to talk to his ex and change her mind. Sadly, Jim gets pulled over and gets his car impounded. After talking to his ex to get it out for him, Jim finally confesses he is a bad father. So after getting one more chance, Jim learns his son's wish and decides to interrupt Green Eggs and Ham to have Max unwish the wish. However, this doesn't work as Max really doesn't mean it and Jim gets slapped. I still wonder what he said to her. So Jim goes back to work and confesses all his lies to his secretary. However, Miranda overhears this and forces Jim to tell his honest truth to the firm's boss.
He's a pedantic, pontificating, pretentious bastard, a belligerent old fart, a worthless, steaming pile of cow dung. Figuratively speaking.
Lucky for Jim, all the staff working at the firm think this is a roast and laugh their fucking brains out.
Loser! Idiot! Wimp! Degenerate!
Jim then goes to court to learn his client was recorded in her house and that he might lose his case. However, Jim somehow gets a bathroom break and decides to kick his own ass.
What the hell are you doing? I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
Let's see what this would look like if it were a horror film.
Maybe. Looks and personality. A double threat guy.
Hey, Mr. Reed.
That your husband wants to deny you a fair share of the marital assets based on one single act of indiscretion.
But it's a lie.
I can't lie! But I have this horrible pain in my arm.
Oh no, it's the clock!
pen is blue. The pen is blue! God damn it, pen is blue!
Oh yes, so magical. Somehow Jim ends up telling the truth for a lie.
Who did this?
A madman, Your Honor! A desperate fool at the end of his pitiful rope!
I don't know how the court believes he was attacked. However, Jim is asked if he can continue, and so he does.
Can you?
Yes!
Of course, after a little recess break.
Mr. Falk, isn't it true that you and Mrs. Cole have never made
Or fucking insane, either works. So Jim calls Jennifer Tilly's boy toy to the stand, and somehow badgers the witness with every point ever made to get him to confess to porking Jennifer.
You slammed her, you dumped her donut, you gave her dog a sausage, you stuffed her like a Thanksgiving turkey!
All right, it's true, okay? I humped her brains out. There, now you happy?
Yet even after all this, somehow Jennifer's age is mentioned and Jim finds the loophole he needed and wins. Because she was underage for the agreement, that's not illegal standing with it. However, Jennifer wants full custody of the kids, while Jim sees how much they love their father and how much he cares. Thus we get the worst line ever from the mother.
You haven't paid for them yet.
Yes, Mother of the Year. Thus, Jim snaps and yells at the judge and goes to jail.
Oh no, don't do that! I have a date to play ball with my son! I can't be late! It's my last chance! I'm Jose Canseco! I'm Jose Canseco!
However, her secretary Greta bails him out, but she could have waited for him to get molested. Greta, you're evil. I like you. Jim rushes to the airport to save his son Max from the 99-cent store claw.
Watch yourself, it's the claw! Oh, the claw's coming at you. Oh, you're scared of the claw. You're scared of the claw. Ooh.
He even uses his sneaking skills to somehow get into a luggage bag. Solid Snake would be proud. He then steals a flight of stairs and starts his next movie, Pudgy Reed, The Nightmare of 500 Feet. Jim then stops the plane with a shoe and crashes. Huh, that's like me when I wake up every morning. So Jim confesses he loves Max and all that shit. But Jim learns his after 8:15 well could be a lie. Anyway, his ex changes her mind and dumps Carrey, who takes this rather well, even though they've been dating for months and even have sex. Poor guy, because he just wanted to get away from Jim to crazy. A year passes with Jim getting back together with his ex and getting a weird pain in his arm. Probably a heart attack with all the medication he's taking to keep him calm. And that's Liar Liar. It still cracks me up every time I see it, and I love it. I strongly hate the neglectful father bits and how everything in the end works out, but it's still a funny movie. And what the fuck was that noise? What the hell are you doing?
I'm kicking my ass!
Why?
So you don't have to! Do you mind?
My God, what did I do? I'm the mini one, and I think I need to get out of here for a while. Bye. I don't even know what the fuck's in there. It's in here. Oh. Okay.
Queen, most of the time you're just running and killing, and resembling acts occasionally. And there are a few boss fights along the way. You face the same orc